Hello, hello, hello. Happy Wednesday. How are you guys? Just waiting for Facebook to find somebody for me to talk to. As always, I'm going to start with announcements and then we will move into, hopefully, by then people will be here to hang out. Otherwise, I won't be staying very long. And I will do announcements and then we will keep it moving. All right, so there is a new pop quiz live. And if you haven't seen it yet, make sure you go to pop quiz in the categories and you'll be able to find the current pop quiz. I want to talk about last week's pop quiz for a moment. Remember, once you arrive, say hello so I know that you are here, so I know who's watching with me. I'm looking for last week's pop quiz and then I will share my 2 cents because I haven't shared my 2 cents yet. So hello, hello, hello. Those of you who are here. Where am I? What happened? Something weird happened. Okay, here, let's try this again. Okay, here we go. All right, so we got a couple people hanging out, so make sure you say hello so I know that you are here. All right, so last week's pop quiz was you've been in business for some time and all of a sudden you're feeling a little meh. You can't quite put your fingers on what's producing the feeling, but you know something isn't right. You're unfulfilled, facing burnout, working way too hard, and you feel like nothing of true value, you have nothing of true value to show for it. So all of a sudden you're not booking sales calls and your clients are starting to complain. So what do? The choices were stop and pray, take a journey of introspection, fire all of your clients, book a session with your support, or D, do something else. You guys know, like, I never have a right answer to this. It's whatever you would do. If this were me, I would probably do A, then C. And maybe B if clients needed to be fired, but definitely A and C. So thank you guys all for your comments. Donald, Julie, Kimberly, Brandy, Sherelle, Dominique, Janice, Annette, Angela. Thank you for your answers. I will pick a winner and announce the winner of the pop quiz shortly. We'll do that after this. This week's pop quiz just went live today, so you have an opportunity to check that out. And a new episode on the podcast is live. It's a solo insights episode, so it's just me. The topic this week is the invitation is your validation. That's what I'm on there talking about this week. One last announcement, and then we're going to open up for questions. If you have questions, please make sure that you start commenting in. I don't even know if anybody has commented anything yet. Let me see. Are y'all talking to me? Do I even know that y'all are here? Are y'all talking to me? Are y'all talking to me? Okay, here we go. Let's see. No comments yet. So nobody's talking to me. So I don't know who's here. So who's even here with me right now? Because like I said, I know I'm later than normal. I normally go live at noon. I apologize for that. I had a meeting that I could not reschedule that I had to attend, which is what set me back. So I apologize. Nobody's talking to me. I have no idea who's here. Okay, hold on. Let me see. Let me turn that off, and so I can just hear. Okay, so the two of you who are watching me right now. Okay, only one person is watching me, so that means there's nobody here. Okay, then we're gonna be done with this. Being live if y'all ain't coming to hang out. It's okay. My feelings aren't hurt. The one other thing I did want to say that I will say before I go is that I am considering the feasibility. Hi, Chandra. I was just about to text you. I'm considering the feasibility of doing a Leverage and Scale weekend, August 27th through the 29th. I say considering the feasibilities because it wasn't planned. The next one wasn't supposed to be until December. But I thought I could just add one in real quick. So if you are interested and you want to participate, because here's the thing. I'm locking my programs down September the 1st. And what that means is they'll be by application only. So this will be the last time. If you're not yet at the mark and you want to work with me, this will be your last opportunity to do so in one of my programs. My live events will still be accessible, which probably brings me to another announcement. Live events will still be accessible. Free trainings will still be accessible. But working directly with me, you're going to have to qualify in order to enroll in those programs. So that does bring me to one more announcement. Breakthrough in Business is still happening. It is happening October the 20th through the 23rd. That includes the VIP day. If you want to be there, but you are feeling a little leery of everything that's going on in the world, for the very first time ever, we will be broadcasting live. We will be live streaming the breakthroughs. Normally, I don't do my events with live stream because I feel like you need to be in the room to be able to do it. And I'll be honest with you guys, I tried to get out of holding breakthrough this year. I asked God if I should just call it a year. Just let it go. Just chalk it up to COVID-19. And he said no. He said no. That the people need the themes of breakthrough now more than ever. So I've been working tirelessly to convert the experience to virtual so that you'll be able to still get the same power and breakthroughs even though you'll be at your home than you would if you were in the confined space of the room. And I really do hope that you guys will join us. We do have a good portion of people registered already. And we opened up, we're not selling any more live tickets. So we've opened up virtual tickets. If you would like to join us, you can go to breakthroughinbusinessevent.com. Okay, so I want to take some questions. You guys said you didn't want me to teach. You want me to take questions and help you. So Chandra, I know you're here. What's going on in your business right now? How can I best support you? You might just get me all to yourself because there's nobody else here. What questions can I answer? Hi, Brittany. I'm taking questions. So this is Ask Me Anything. I'm really sad that I wasn't able to go live at noon. So I do apologize for that. But if you have questions about anything at all, now would be the time to ask. How can I serve and support you and help you and give you, I don't know, whatever you might be needing right now? How can I facilitate an environment for that? So ask me questions. Or this is going to be the shortest Facebook Live ever. This is going to be the shortest live I've ever done in the group if no one asks questions. Because, yeah, I don't want to just sit here. All right, well, while you guys are thinking about that, I will start talking about, what can I talk about? Let's see. What can I teach you on? Oh, I got a comment. I want to hear what a sales call should sound like. Oh, okay, great. Let's talk about sales, baby. Okay, so let's talk about sales. Awesome. Thank you, Chandra. You just redeemed the time because I was really about to, I don't know what I was about to say, but I was about to be on my way out the door. All right, so there in a sales conversation, you could have, well, it depends on who your client is, right? So if you work B2C, business to consumer, it's going to be one type of a conversation. If you work business to business or business to nonprofit or business to corporation or business to education, like it might be different. So I'm going to talk about business to consumer because Chandra works business to consumer. Okay. So in a sales conversation, so there are a few things that I recommend that you do before you ever get to the conversation. These things are designed to make it so that you do not have to sell the person on the other end of the phone or on the other end of the Zoom. Number one, you need to develop your audience of one or your ideal client profile, right? So who are the people that you help? and what is the problem that you help them solve, and who do they need to be to benefit from working with you. So that's number one. You need to create your ideal client blueprint. Some people call it your avatar. I call it your audience of one, right? So get clear about who you work with and how you help them. That's number one. This is going to need to be documented somewhere for people to actually see it so that they can self-select. They can either apply to have a conversation with you or walk away because they're not the right fit, right? Not doing this allows you to waste time with people. Now, it's not an absolute that people are going to read and actually know, right? I had someone book a call with me today that I canceled that sold electric products. And I'm like, well, that's not what we do. So anyway, but that's the first step, is be clear about your ideal client's profile. That's number one. Number two is you want to make sure that you have developed the information you need to know about the prospect before you have a conversation with them to validate that having a conversation with them is the right next step. So this is what we're going to call your application. Your application could have as few as 5 questions, as many as 10 questions. You are trying to get to the information you need to have in order to make sure you should be spending your time and energy with this person. That's number 2. If you're just joining us, hello. I'm so happy you're here. Make sure you say hello. We are talking about sales, baby. So I am walking through what a sales conversation should look like. And right now I'm talking specifically about what happens before you even get to the call. So number 1, clarify your ideal client or audience of one. Number 2, create the application, asking the information you need to have in advance to make sure that you're having a conversation with a person who is qualified to speak with you. Number 3, create a place, either on your website or in a brochure, where they can see case studies or success stories, people just like them who have gotten results from working with you. Okay, that's number 3. And is that all I want you to do in advance? No, and number 4, your frequently asked questions. So what are the questions you get over and over and over again that you don't want to spend the time that you have live with the person on a discovery session answering, that you're going to answer for them in advance? This is the way that we overcome objections in advance, right? So ideal client profile, fill out the application, what makes them qualified to have the conversation with you, case studies or success stories to validate your work and have to give social proof of what you can do, and frequently asked questions. Those 4 things are your prerequisites that someone should see before they ever have a conversation with you. Okay, now we're going to fast forward. And we're going to make the assumption that each of the people, or the person that you're about to engage in a sales conversation with, a discovery session with, has done these 4 things and they qualify to talk to you. Okay, so now you're in a conversation. In the conversation, there are 7 stages of the conversation as I teach it. Other people may teach it differently. This is the way I teach it. Phase 1, or section 1 of the conversation, is setting expectations and introductions, right? So this is what that looks like. Hi, Chandra. I'm excited to have an opportunity to chat with you today. We're going to be together for about 45 minutes. And during our time, I want to learn about your biggest challenges right now, the gaps that exist as a result of the challenge, what you want instead, and whether or not we might be the right fit in order to work together, right? Now, I want to use this time to learn about you, not to talk about me. So did you go through my frequently asked questions and look at my client case studies before we had this conversation, right? You want to make sure they did the prerequisites so you don't have to spend any time or energy on that, right? And then the last thing you're going to say before you move to phase 2 is, so if we decide, if in having this conversation, you and I both agree that we're a good fit to solve your problem together, then I'm going to invite you to hire me, or I'm going to invite you to partner with me. I'm going to invite you to make an investment, whichever way you feel comfortable saying it, but you want to set the right expectation for the conversation. That is phase 1. Do we have any questions about phase 1 before we go to phase 2? Hey, Asha, Charmaine says, what can be used for testimonies if your product is new? So you want to use, this is a great question. You either use yourself, right? So you can be a case study for what you're offering, and especially Charmaine, because I know what you do. You are your first case study. But you also want to think about the clients that you've been serving in a different way. So the people that you've been doing their meals for them, What have they reported back to you that is different? Have they talked about how they've lost weight, how their cholesterol is down, their blood sugar is down, they're not pre-diabetic? What are the things they've talked about that you can leverage to help a person who understands to come into this program that you're now going to be enrolling them into, so that they'll want to come in? So you use what you got for now until you get case studies from the new program. But unless you're switching gears entirely, there is some consistency in the different things. Does that make sense? Any other questions about phase 1, which is setting expectations and introductions? Hi, Paula. How are you? Hey, Asha. Did I say hi to you already? Hey, TC. Yes, she has those. So exactly. So that's what you want to do. So that's phase 1 of the discovery session. Phase 2 is the most important part of the discovery session. You're welcome, Charmaine. Most important part of the discovery session. Discover the cost of the problem. I'm going to say it one more time. Most important part. What do you mean by this, Darnyelle? You're going to spend the majority of your time on discovering the cost of the problem. The majority of your time will be spent on discovering the cost of the problem. So what do we need to have happen in this section of the conversation? We need to ask them questions that makes it obvious to them and fortifies your belief about them that they have a problem that they need your help to solve. And this problem is in fact a spice problem, a specific, pervasive, immediate and insurmountable, clear and conscious, expensive and expensive problem. And if they aren't careful, this problem is going to keep costing them money, right? That's why they need you to help them to resolve the problem. So questions in this phase might look like, so tell me, what have you tried that has or hasn't worked to help you to solve your problem, right? Well, no, first you might want to ask, what is the problem that you're experiencing right now, right? So that's the first thing. And then what have you tried or that has or hasn't worked? How much time would you say you're spending or wasting trying to solve this problem to no avail, right? So the reason why I move into the time is because we need to make their problem tangible as possible. And the ways to make it tangible are either time or money. Those are the best ways to make it tangible. Let me say it that way. Because if they tell you that they're wasting 8 hours a day trying to solve this problem, and then you learn how much they would deem their time to be worth an hour, you can do the math, right? So if they say they're wasting 8 hours a week, let's not make it 8 hours a day, 8 hours a week, and their time is worth the equivalent of $300 an hour, then they're wasting $2,400 a week, right? Over a span of time, over 6 months, there are 26 weeks in 6 months. 6 times 2,400 means that they are wasting or not earning $62,400. $62,400. So you want to make their problem tangible. You want to discover the cost of the problem. You want to ask them questions that makes it obvious to them that something is going wrong and they need some help and they need it fast. That's phase 2 of the conversation. Any questions about phase 2 of the conversation? And while you guys are thinking about your questions, I'm going to read Asha's question on phase 1. When you're doing the intro for the discovery call, how do you set the expectation that they don't talk too much? Laugh out loud. I had a call with someone who is fairly long-winded. So I would say that up front. So the purpose of this call is for me to get a very clear understanding of what it is that is going on with you, what's going wrong, and what you need some support around. I'm just going to tell you right up front that if I feel like you're either taking us on a tangent or you're not staying focused on the problem or what we're talking about, I might cut you off, but I'm doing it not because what you have to say is invaluable, but I want to keep us on track because we only have 45 minutes. And the other thing you can do, Asha, is you can literally say, okay, so take a minute and tell me a little bit about what's going on. So you can give them a cue each time that you're talking about it. Okay? So those are the first 2 phases of the conversation. Set expectations and introductions. Phase 2 is discovering the cost of the problem. Now, after you've discovered the cost of the problem, you're going to move into phase 3. Phase 3 is transitioning from problem to possibility. Now, in this phase, you're going to start with a recap. The recap is so powerful. Write that down. If you're taking notes, the recap is powerful. Here's what the recap looks like. So, Chandra, what I understand your problem to be is X. What you want instead is Y. The difference that would make is Z. Did I miss anything? Let me repeat that. The problem that you're experiencing is X. What you want instead is Y. And the difference that would make is Z. Did I miss anything? You're basically recapping because you should have been taking notes once you started in discovering the cause of the problem, the second phase of the conversation. Okay? So you start with that recap and then you say, so now what I want to know is, in the best possible scenario, if we were able to work together, what would you want instead? Like what, hold on. I said something wrong. I'm going off the top of my head. You guys notice I'm not using any notes. So I'm sorry. I'm wrong. Rewind. So forget what I just said. Coming into transition from problem to possibility. Now you know the problem. Now you're going to ask them this question. So knowing that your problem is X, talk to me about what you want instead. I got ahead of myself. The recap happens after this section. So what do you want instead? So tell me what you want instead. And then they're going to say, well, I want to be able to sleep good at night. I don't want to be stressed out. I don't want to be wondering where my family's next meal is coming from. Whatever they want instead. I want this many clients. I want to be making this amount of money a month. And whatever it would need to be based on your specific work, right? And then after they tell you what they want instead, you say, and tell me, what is the difference that would make in your life? And you're writing. So you wrote down everything they said about the problem. You wrote down everything they said about what they want instead. You're writing down everything they say about the difference that it would make. That's phase 3. Transition them from the problem to the possibility. Any questions about phase 3? While you guys are writing questions, I'm going to go on to phase 4. Phase 4 is ask them if they would like your help and offer to solve the problem. But it starts with the recap that I misappropriately put in the phase 3. So, Chandra, I understand your problem to be X. What you want instead is Y, and the difference that would make is Z. Did I leave anything out? The recap is still important. It's as important as it was when I said it in the wrong place. And it's important because every prospect, write this down, wants to feel heard. They want to know that they matter and that they mean something to you and they make a difference and that you're listening. They are being transparent. They are letting you in on their biggest fears and worries. They're letting you in on their biggest hopes and dreams. They want to know that you're paying attention to them. So that's why the recap is so important. So you start with the recap and then you say something like this. Now, I never like to be presumptuous. I know we're having this conversation, but you're trying to determine if I'm the right fit for you, just like I'm trying to determine if you're the right fit for me. So I don't want to be presumptuous. Based on what we've talked about thus far, would you like my help? It's that simple. Would you like my help? Somebody put that in the chat. Would you like my help? That's phase 4. And then once they say I'm sorry, that's not phase 4. That's the beginning of phase 4. Once they say yes, then you're going to offer the solution. You're going to talk to them about what you've created that you know will solve their problem. So they say yes, and then you say, Chandra, I want you to know that I'm 100% confident that if we worked together and you showed up fully for yourself and took the steps that I am going to highly recommend that you take, that you will get the result that you are desiring. Here is the program that I've created that will help you. Right? And then you move into the best option. Usually this is your signature program. You move into your signature program, high level. Write this down. You're going to share the benefits, not the features. What do you mean by that, Darnyelle? The benefits are what's in it for them. The features are what's included. Features overwhelm people. And we don't want them to be overwhelmed because an overwhelmed person becomes confused and a confused mind does nothing. We want them to be clear that what is offered by this program is going to work for them. That's why we focus on the benefits. Write this down. benefits sell, features tell. Okay? So you share the benefits high level with them. And then you ask them if they have any questions. And you say it something like this. Before I share the investment with you, I would love to take any questions you have specifically about the program that I'm recommending for you. What questions can I answer? And then they will ask you questions. Now, they, in asking you questions, may say, well, what all is included in the program? At which point you say, okay, I'm happy you asked that. I don't usually lead with what's included because it often overwhelms people and they don't really know what each of those things is going to do for them. So I focus on how it's going to benefit you instead. But I'm happy to tell you that there are, it's a 12-week program and we're going to be doing this and we're going to be doing that. And when we're not doing that, we're going to be doing this. And you're going to get this many calls and this many things. You share whatever it is they need to know at that particular point in time. And then you just keep asking them, any other questions? Or any other questions before I share the investment? And then the end of offering the solution, phase 4 of the conversation, is you sharing the investment. And this is what that looks like. So in order for us to get you started today in the XYZ program, the investment is $10,000. And then you're quiet. Sales 101 says the one who speaks first after the pitch is the one who leaves with the product. So you're quiet. Now, if the answer is no from the prospect, they're going to say no and they're going to say no right away. Right? If there is silence, silence is a good thing. Silence means they're trying to figure out how to make the investment. You want to wait until they ask questions. Okay? So if they don't ask any questions, you're quiet. They will eventually probably say, hello, are you there? To which you will say, I'm here. I was just giving you space so that you can determine how you're going to invest in yourself through the XYZ program. So we are assuming that they're going to sign up because why wouldn't they? You're brilliant and you know their problem and you have the solution to their problem. Why wouldn't they sign up? Typically, the questions you'll get if you're not getting a no or an objection is, well, do I have to pay that all at once or do you have a payment option? At which point you share if you have a payment option. Now, you don't have to have a payment option. It depends on your programs and how you work. But having a payment option or having a financing option, a way for them to be able to get financing through another company, is in your best interest to prevent you from losing sales that would have otherwise been closed if there was an opportunity for them to be able to pay over time. So that's phase 4 of the conversation. So a few people have joined us. Hey, Donald. Hey, Monique. So we're walking through a sales conversation. That was the question that was asked, is what does a sales conversation look like? So we've covered the first 4 phases. Phase 1 is setting expectations and introductions. Phase 2 is discovering the cost of the problem. Phase 3 is transitioning from problem to possibility. And phase 4 is asking if they want your help and offering a solution. Any questions on the first 4 phases of the sales conversation before we move into phase number 5? Any questions? Hey, Shanquetta, how are you? Any questions? Any questions on the sales conversation and what we've talked about so far? Can you give tips on keeping people focused when they want to jump to the investment? Yeah, I will happily share the investment with you, but before I do so, I need to make sure that we're the right fit to work together. Unfortunately, I don't let everybody into my programs. It has to be a good fit for us. So part of the reason why we have this conversation, as opposed to me just putting the price point on the website, is because I want to make sure everyone I'm working with, I can 100% help them to get to the goal that they want to get to. That's what I would say. For the person who's just price shopping, they are typically not going to be your ideal client. So you might just want to, let them go. Might want to just let them go. Does that help you, Paula? Any other questions on the first 4 phases of the convo? All right. then we're moving on to phase 5, which is advance the sale or overcome objections. All right, let's see. Somebody just popped in. You're welcome. So advance the sale or overcome objections. That's phase 5. So advancing the sale means moving the sale forward, getting them to the deposit. Now, often we're going to give them the full investment of the program because we don't want people to think that we're doing like a bait and switch, right? So we're going to tell them it's a $10,000 program that they need, right? And then after that, after they start asking questions about the investment and blah, 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 then that's when you can say, well, we can get you started today for a deposit of X, whatever your deposit is. If they are not like, okay, here's my card, then you should expect an objection. That objection might be like, oh, I can't afford that, or I didn't know it was going to be that much, or I have to talk to my spouse, or whatever the objection might be, right? So you want to work through the objection. Now, write this down too. The sale doesn't even start until you get an objection. If you get somebody on the phone, they love you, and they're ready to sign up, you did not really sell them. Not in that conversation anyway. Everything else you did leading up to is what sold them. In the conversation, if you get an objection, that's how you know what the trigger is of the prospect, and you know what is keeping them stuck. This is brilliant. You actually want to thank them for the gift of telling you what they're thinking. So let's assume they say, oh, wow, I didn't know it was going to be that much. I would say, oh, well, tell me, what did you think the investment was going to be? I want you to notice that I'm saying investment and not what does it cost, or, because it's an investment. Can't get my words out. Investments yield returns, right? Oh, so what did you think the investment was going to be? And let's say it's a $10,000 thing. They thought it was going to be $5,000. So you're not talking about $10,000 versus $5,000. You're talking about the difference of $5,000. So I would say something like this. Okay, well, since you were thinking in your mind that the investment was going to be $5,000, let's talk about what you get for the additional investment of $5,000. And then you start walking through benefits specifically, right? You start talking about what they can expect. And this is when you start interjecting case studies and testimonials from other people that you've worked with who too may have been a little overwhelmed by the investment, but made the investment and now they're in a better place, right? This is where you interject that in this phase of the conversation, because you're either advancing the sale, getting to that payment, or you're overcoming objections. Let's say they say, oh, I would love to do this, but I have to talk to my spouse. Now, one of the things that I do, I want to know that everybody who needs to be participating in the decision is available on the call at the beginning of the call. So that would be something you ask in the setting expectations and introductions portion. But in the event that you didn't do that and you're now here, I probe. I don't just accept that. And I'm married, right? And now I used to feel some kind of shaky about it when I was single, but now that I'm married and I understand the dynamic, I ask. So I say, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that your husband played a role in your company. And they might say, oh, well, he doesn't. I just like to run everything by him. Well, run everything by him is different than I need to ask my husband for permission. And so then I dig deeper and say, if you don't mind me asking, is the funds to pay the investment to enroll in this program coming from the household or from your business? Because if it's coming from the household, I'm not touching that with a can of paint. 10-foot pole, that's the saying. I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. I want to talk to the husband. I don't want them to relay the information to the husband. I want to have a conversation with the husband. So I say, oh, I didn't realize that. And they're not my idle client. So I probably wouldn't keep going, but I'll just keep what I would say if I wanted to work with them. So why don't we reschedule when your husband can be present? Because what I know for sure is that men are logical. And when I help him to understand the investment that you're making and the return on the investment that you'll get, he will support you. Now, if they say, oh, well, my husband isn't in my business, I just like to run things by him. So then I'll say, oh, well, do you think that if you were going to make an investment that's going to bring more money into the business, which is ultimately going to bring more money into your home, he would have a problem with that? Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make sure that they're not feeding me an excuse to dodge telling me that they're not interested or that they can't enroll or whatever the real reason is. Because oftentimes people will use that as a smokescreen for the real reason. And if you are not willing to probe, you won't be able to help the people you think you want to help. Because the objection is the pattern that they need the most breakthrough. 9 times out of 10, they don't need your services as they are as much as you think they do. They need mindset work. And if you are a coach or a consultant and you're not prepared to coach and consult with them in this phase in the conversation, you don't deserve to close it. You need to demonstrate what they're going to get when they work with you. Now, something else that I do that I would highly recommend that you do too, if you get people on the phone that say, I cannot afford it, I say, okay, well, would you mind doing a quick exercise with me right now? Awesome. Let's take out a sheet of paper. I want you to number that sheet of paper from 1 to 10. And what we're going to do is we're going to come up with, at minimum, 10 ways that you could afford the deposit. Now, I want you to notice that I didn't say 10 ways for them to afford the program. We're just trying to get them to the deposit, because once they decide that they want to enroll in this program, guess what? God is already going to pave the way for everything to line up, but we got to get them to make a decision, and they may not feel comfortable making a decision without knowing where the resources are coming from. So I say, well, let's number it from 1 to 10. I'm here to help you. Tell me, what's the first way you can think of to go and find $3,000 if that's the deposit? And I say, write that down. What would it take for you to use this particular strategy to find $3,000? What would you have to do? I literally help them chart out the steps so that they have an action plan of exactly what it is they're going to do to find the money. If you think this is brilliant, comment this is brilliant, or give me a heart. If you think this is brilliant, I'm going to give myself a heart. If you think this is brilliant. This is what people are not doing in sales conversations. They hear the objections and they run for the hills. They say, oh, okay, well, when should I follow up? There's nothing to follow up on if you're not going to overcome the objection. You have to follow through in the conversation. So that's what advancing the sale or overcoming the objection, that phase of the conversation, looks like. What about education who have executive director, I think, who have to take everything back to the board of directors? Well, this is for Shanquetta. You got on late. So we're talking about business to consumer. We're not talking about business to organization. That's a different conversation. But what I will say to answer your question right now is you want to make sure everybody who needs to be in the meeting is in the meeting before you have the meeting. Don't go to a meeting with one person if you know that their hierarchy and their process requires lots of people to get engaged before they can get a yes. Make sure everybody's at the meeting. Be willing to reschedule the meeting until everybody can be present. The responsibility is on the ED to convey to board that this has been tough to navigate. Then what I would do, if it's specifically a nonprofit and board concern, is I would ask if you could show up at the next board meeting and present a mini presentation of what you're suggesting for the organization to the entire board. Again, you don't want anyone else making the case or the pitch for you but you, because they're going to jack it all the way up every single time. So I wouldn't recommend that. You're welcome. You're welcome, Nadine. So that's phase 5 of the conversation. Now, it could be 5 and 6, right? But I lump them together. Phase 6 of the conversation is to begin the process of onboarding the new client. So you're going to tell them what's going to happen, what they should expect once you process their deposit, all of that. And then phase 7 is to process the deposit and celebrate with the new client. And you want to be able to get the deposit right on the phone. So typically what I do is I will pull out a credit card authorization form. I will get their information, write it down. While I'm talking to them, I will send them something in DocuSign for them to sign that says that they are giving me permission to use their credit card so we don't end up with a chargeback. For them having buyer's remorse when it's over, I make sure that they understand the deposit is non-refundable but fully transferable. So they can apply this deposit to whatever they want, but they are not getting their money back. I make sure that they understand all of that, and all of that is on the conversation. This is part of the reason why I highly recommend you start recording your sales conversations. Record them and tell them, I'm going to record this conversation. for training and purposes, if you want to say that, or just and I'll send you a copy of the recording if you would like the copy of the recording, because we may talk about some things that are specific that you may want to implement, even if we decide that working together is not the best next step. Record the conversation because you have everything on the conversation. So you say, do you understand that by making this deposit, it is non-refundable? I'm sending you a document to sign. That's where you're going to indicate that you've given me authorization to charge your credit card for whatever amounts, so in lieu of having your physical card present to get an imprint of your card. Do you understand that? You literally say that. So I record my conversations, and there are times when I'm not recording the whole conversation, but when I'm closing, I turn the recorder on so that I have a record of it. Because if they sign up, let's say it's a $3,000 deposit, they give you $3,000, they tell their husband later, and their husband blows a gasket, and they just decide, instead of calling you back, they decide to call their credit card company and say they did not authorize the transaction. They're going to charge back. The credit card company is going to take the money back and ask questions later. And you're going to have to prove that you deserve to have that money. You know how you do that? You send them the recording. You send them the credit card authorization or whatever it is that you had them sign. Listen to me, people. This is a business. And if we're going to have a business, then we need to conduct our businesses as a business. And in business, we get documentation to substantiate that we have a right to charge. Quick story to bring this point home. I had a person who registered to come to one of my events. They filled out the form. The form that we have them sign has the disclosure. They have to sign it, that they, their card is present. They're agreeing to the terms, etc., etc. They signed it. They decided that they didn't want to. They wanted to cancel, and they contacted us to cancel. And we were like, no refunds. It's fully transferable, but no refunds. They didn't like that answer, so they decided to dispute it with their credit card, saying that they did not authorize the transaction. And they were like, and they even said to me, well, it was online, so you can't prove that I did it. This is where she was wrong, because she forgot that I sent her something for her to sign, right? And so anyway, because she came to the live event and then signed up online. So anyway, they pulled the money out of my account. I didn't panic. I sent all of my documentation that substantiated that I had every right to keep that money, that she knew about the policy before she signed up, and I got my money back. So just operate as a business. Does this work with other pay mediums such as PayPal or Venmo? I do not recommend. I don't even know what Venmo is, so I can't speak to Venmo. But I do not recommend that you use PayPal to take your payments for your programs. PayPal is a consumer service more than it is a business service. They always err on the side of the customer. Now, you still have to be able to prove that you had a right to that money, and if you do, you'll get your money back, but it'll take forever. I don't even like Stripe for that reason. We started using Stripe specifically for our live events, or all of our events come through Stripe, and Stripe takes forever to give you your money back too when you win the chargeback in your favor. So I typically don't recommend using PayPal as the first or primary solution. Like I said, I can't speak to Venmo at all, Shanquetta. Yeah, I can't speak to that. So that's the sales conversation. So Chandra, did that raise any other questions for you? Does anybody else have questions about the sales conversation? Was this helpful? If this was helpful, comment, this was helpful. Or say thank you. I see some hearts going up. Other questions about the sales conversation? Other questions about the sales conversation? The one thing I will say about sales conversations while you guys are determining if you have more conversations is you need to master the sales call. I get people all the time who say, can I hire someone? Can I just get someone else to do my sales? You can, but I don't recommend you bring somebody else to do sales until you know how sales are supposed to go, because you want to train them on your approach to sales, and you want to be able to validate what they're doing or not doing. Awesome. Thank you, Shanquetta, Paula, Asha. Any other questions about sales? If there are no other questions about sales, Then what other questions can I answer? Ask me anything. Oh, look at you with your sunglasses on. My husband just came in looking all cute with the sunglasses on. Hey.
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm trying to see if they got any more questions. We've been talking about sales conversations.
Oh, sounds like fun. Okay.
Nothing happens until somebody sells something, babe.
Okay.
If your signature keynote doesn't fit the theme of the event or organization that wants to invest in you, should you create a new one? Yeah, you can create a new one, but customization costs more. Customization costs more. So what I always do, Brittany, is I have people fill out a pre-programmed questionnaire. So if they don't want me to come and do something that I've already done and I've already created, then they fill out the pre-programmed questionnaire, and that's how we determine what I'm going to create a program for them specifically about. Should all Facebook Live events be in a group or just on my page? It's up to you. I don't really go live on my personal page anymore. I may in the future, but right now I'm just really trying to build up the group and add value to the group, which is why I'm giving you guys my exclusive time each week to ask me questions. It's really up to you. It depends on the plan and the strategy you put in place, Paula. There's definitely merits for both. If you go live on your personal page, you can drive them to your group if you're trying to get more people in your group. But it's really up to you. There are people, and I could technically do that. I haven't done it. I have access to Live Leap, which allows me to live stream on multiple platforms at one time. I just don't. I usually just do it for Facebook. But you could technically, like, I could have my phone on right now and be talking on Instagram at the same time I'm talking on Facebook, but I'm just doing it for the Facebook group. Let's see. Or is on my page okay for the first one? Yeah. Yeah, you can do it on your business page, and then you can share it to your personal page. You could start a watch party so you can get more people to watch it. So yeah, for you, I just want you to do it. Like, I don't even care. Just pick one and do it. And do it fast. Do it soon. Just do it. You're welcome, Brittany. Any other questions? Any other questions about anything we've talked about so far? About anything that we've talked about so far? Saturday. Okay. All right. For Saturday. Any other questions about anything? I can't believe y'all won't be having no questions. If somebody was willing to give me an hour of their time every week, I would be writing down everything that I could possibly think of to bring to the conversation to ask questions. But I ain't about to beg y'all to ask me no questions. So, if there are no more questions, then we're going to call this a Facebook Live. So, I want to thank Chandra for asking the question about sales conversations. Practice is all I can say. Come back and listen to this live as often as you need to so that you can get the phases down and start formulating your script. I will say that if you join me for Leverage and Scale Weekend, you'll get a script. Do you recommend taking the Colby test more than once? No, you don't have to take it again, Asha. You're in transition, so what they suggest when a person gets a transition result is that you wait 30 days and you take it again. So I'll automatically resend it to you. I'm just waiting for your 30 days to be up. How long should the free resource be if it's a PDF? I mean, it depends on what the free resource needs to give them. If it's a checklist, it might be 1 page. If it's my 40 Bible scriptures, that's like 3 or 4 pages. If it's a special report where you're talking about the 5 mistakes, it should be as long as it needs to be to convey everything you need to convey. And if you're doing a free offer, the And I typically teach free offers, and Brittany knows this because she just came from Leverage and Scale Weekend. The first free offer is for awareness. It's quick, so it's a PDF or a checklist. It could be one page. It depends on what the PDF needs to be, but it doesn't have to be limited to one page. And then the second opt-in is the one that is more meaty and gives you an opportunity to teach them something. Other questions? Hey, Tam. Superstar. Always taking pictures with no smile. That's your business face, I assume. Uh-huh. Other questions? People are opting in for my free offer, but not the discovery call. Yeah, you might need to tighten your nurture sequence that they get when they first get your freebie that leads them to the call. There might be something that you need to tweak inside of that sequence. That could be the reason why they're not opting in. Other questions? Sounds good. Any other questions? All right, if there are no other questions, then I want to thank you guys for your time and attention. I did make some announcements at the beginning of the live. Let me reiterate them. The new pop quiz is live. I did share my 2 cents about last week's pop quiz. I will announce the winner momentarily in the group. Breakthrough in Business, Next Level Everything. Virtual tickets are available for sale if you are interested in participating in the event. And if you wanted to participate, but we never did it virtual, this is your opportunity for the first time ever. And maybe the last time ever, I don't know. We're going to make the event a virtual event, which means all of the breakthroughs will be televised. So you can participate if you are interested, breakthroughsinbusinessevent.com. The new episode of the podcast is live. The invitation is your validation. It's a solo episode from me. I will be back with a guest interview next week. In next week's interview, it was juicy, juicy good. What else did I say? I might have said something. Oh, I'm entertaining the feasibility of doing another Leverage and Scale weekend, a bonus Leverage and Scale weekend. If I get at least 6 people, then I will do a Leverage and Scale weekend August the 27th through the 29th. If you or someone you know should be considered for that, then I would recommend that you tell them about it as soon as possible so that I can determine whether or not it's going to happen. All right. If there are no more questions, thank you guys for your time, for your attention, for showing up for yourselves and allowing me the opportunity to serve you. Thank you for being here in the 6-Figure Cash Flow Club. I am excited about every interaction and opportunity that I have to spend time with you. Until next time, be better, be stronger, and more than anything, be incredible. I haven't said that in a long time. Be incredible, y'all. I'll see y'all next time. Take care.